So if all is just in the world, then Justin Gaethje should be fighting Khabib Nurmagomedov for the UFC Lightweight World Championship, the undisputed world title. I know Justin Gaethje fought Tony Ferguson for an interim belt. He then threw it on the ground and said, I want the real one, which means he's not going to be fighting Conor McGregor next. He's actually going to be fighting Khabib Nurmagomedov. He wants that fight. He was in a position to call out Conor McGregor. However, he wants the real belt. He wants Khabib Nurmagomedov. And honestly, I almost feel like he has a real belt right now. If you beat Tony Ferguson, Ferguson was never stripped of a title. This ain't just some vacant interim belt fight. Ferguson kind of went in there under the impression of being a champion. So if I was Justin Gaethje, I'd put some power behind that belt. But he doesn't want to whatsoever. He wants Khabib Nurmagomedov, and that seems like the rightful fight that should be made next. Dana White even said he's looking to make Justin Gaethje versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. However, Dana White has said a lot of things that don't happen every single week. But either way, Khabib versus Justin seems to be next. Justin Gaethje has wowed a lot of people, including me, in his last fight with Tony Ferguson. Although I have some stuff to say about that, and a lot of people know about the stuff that I say about that fight, I thought it was way more competitive than some other people. People had an impression that he dominated Ferguson. I thought otherwise. But let's give Gaethje the credit he deserves. He won the fight. Whatever you want to say, the stoppage was there, and the stoppage has happened, and Gaethje is now a winner. Okay? Which means he's going to be fighting Khabib next. And Justin Gaethje, to me, wowed me against Tony Ferguson. Even though I disagree with some things, Justin Gaethje went out there and put on a fucking show and showed us a real patient Gaethje. Because a lot of people say, Gaethje's the patient Gaethje since he lost to Eddie Alvarez. Have you seen the Edson Barboza fight? I don't fucking think so. Like, Justin Gaethje is patient where it suits him. Against Edson Barboza, he wanted to be aggressive. Like, against Khabib, Gaethje's maybe going to come out there with an aggressive style, but this new patient Gaethje style, I think he's going to fall in love with it. I know his coaches enjoy that style from him way more than they do the absolute reckless one, where none of their training for Justin Gaethje comes into effect because he's just going to run at them the entire fight. I know Trevor Whitman likes the technician, and I think that after the fight with Ferguson, I think Trevor Whitman and his team are going to sit down Justin Gaethje and say, look, if you fight like this, we can beat these world championship fighters. When he's fighting the old way, he can't beat Alvarez and Poirier. You fight like this, you can beat Tony Ferguson. Okay? And that's going to really set in with Justin Gaethje. And I think he's going to take that style into the Khabib fight as well. But just be way more forward aggression. Because Tony Ferguson was pushing him backwards at some points in that fight. But against Khabib, Khabib doesn't go forwards against Justin Gaethje. It's just not going to happen. You know what I mean? And Khabib wants Justin Gaethje to go backwards. So in my opinion, Gaethje might come more out like the old Gaethje, but with some of this patient Gaethje mixed in. If you know what I'm saying. So Gaethje's plan here, and I don't know who's going to win the fight, but I would lean on the side of Khabib, because although I know that Justin Gaethje's counter wrestling is amazing, Khabib has fought wrestlers. Like there are guys that have good wrestling in MMA. You know, like Khabib does well against them. And also I don't know how much, if Justin Gaethje can't immediately get back up, does he have the jiu-jitsu that Ferguson does? You know, because a lot of guys can stop those takedowns, but then once Khabib gets one takedown and Gaethje can't get back up, let's say, whatever reason that might be, whether it's Gaethje not good enough at takedown defense, whether it's Gaethje misses out on a position that he needs in a scramble and that's why he stays on the ground and then he doesn't have the momentum to pop right back up again. There are a lot of ways that Gaethje could end up on his back that don't correlate to just his wrestling ability. It's a fight, you know what I mean? So if Gaethje doesn't immediately spring back up, does Khabib immediately take his back and choke him out because Gaethje's not been on the ground in fights? Like, Gaethje has never been on his back in fights, and that's something that I really want to talk about in this video, is that it's not about does Gaethje stuff the takedowns, it's can he stuff 100% of them? Because that's what he's going to need to do, because I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if... I was questioning, and I thought that he could do some damage off his back, but I never said that Ferguson was going to submit Khabib from his back. Like, Khabib has a very good submission game. Like, Khabib has good submissions in his career. If you don't know his career, there's time where Khabib's been put on his back by guys like, Gleason Tebow in that fight, and he pulled off some submissions there. There were times where Abel Trujillo was able to get him down, and he was putting off some triangles in that fight as well. Like, Khabib's got great jiu-jitsu, along with the sambo. So I think if Justin Gaethje can't stuff 100% of those takedowns, and just in one of them, he's throwing a kick at the same time, which he will be doing. Like, just in one of them, he's off balance with a punch, and Khabib's able to get him down. Once he gets to the ground... This is no longer about whether he can stuff the takedowns. If he can't stuff 100% of them, once he gets to the ground, does he have the jiu-jitsu elite fundamentals, and we're going to call them elite fundamentals because I've spoken about this before. There's a level of jiu-jitsu where you understand it. There's a level of jiu-jitsu where you can fight any jiu-jitsu player in the world in MMA and just avoid submissions. It's a lot easier to avoid submissions than get them. Okay, and that's what a lot of guys at the top, they have elite fundamentals. Does Gaethje have them when he fights Khabib? Because fair enough, you could say Gaethje's going to stuff more takedowns than anyone else against Khabib. Okay, but one of them gets through. Khabib might immediately take Gaethje's back and choke him out. And I would err on that side. I would assume that the reason that Gaethje's been training his takedown defense so much all these years might not be because he's a wizard off his back. I'm just going to throw that assumption out there. And Gaethje's stand-up was way more impressive to me, and I feel like his stand-up would actually be better for Khabib the way he fought against Tony Ferguson, because of course, if Gaethje goes out there like he used to, or even like he did against Edson Barboza, or Cerrone, or James Vick, which was completely different than the Ferguson fight, then he's going to start leaning over his shots. That's going to contribute for the takedown. So I think a much more upright Gaethje that's a bit more patient but keeps that mediocre pressure. Not mediocre, as in like he pushes a mediocre pressure rather than going full force. The old Gaethje went full force with the pressure. But I think that right now a medium pressure would be a better word. I think mediocre questions skill. Medium pressure against Khabib Nurmagomedov. Just enough to get him back a bit, but don't full rush. Gaethje could have a real good chance of stuffing some of those early takedowns and landing the KO in the first round. However, as much as people will say that Khabib's never been hit by a guy like Gaethje, we have seen Khabib eat big shots off of good guys with great knockout power in the division. Poirier caught him straight on the chin. Michael Johnson caught him straight on the chin. McGregor caught him straight on the chin in the third round many times. I know it's the third round, but still, that's McGregor. Does Gaethje commit to the first round enough to KO Khabib in order to risk the other rounds maybe not going his way because he might gas himself? Or does Gaethje hold back a bit, conserve some power in his shots, and give Khabib that chance to just get out of the first round? It's so impossible, I feel like, for Gaethje, without there being some downside here. There's not one game plan that Gaethje can enforce that has no repercussions. There is a game plan that Khabib can enforce that has no repercussions. Gaethje's not going to triangle Khabib off his back. Khabib knows if I go out there, shove this guy up against a cage and take him down, I'm going to win the fight. But Gaethje, on the other hand, if he has a game plan of going out there and KOing Khabib in the first round, he might not. And then he's got 4 more rounds. Or if he goes out there with a game plan of being patient and waiting for his moment, he might not get the moment. You know what I mean? Like, there's the downside to Gaethje's game plans that there isn't there in the Khabib fight. Because I know that if Khabib wants to go out there and commit to 100% takedowns against a cage, he's going to be able to do it. However, and here's a problem I have. Khabib has not been KO'd yet. Do you know what that tells me? I would almost rather, in this fight, that Khabib had been KO'd before. Or at least dropped. Because Khabib recently has been a little bit too okay to stand on the feet with guys. Now, Khabib, I know you think you're good at stand-up because guys have not KO'd you and they don't seem to be beating you on the feet. You are not good at stand-up at all. Maybe even worse than Brendan Shaw. But either way, Khabib is not good at stand-up, technically. Like, it might work because there's the threat of the takedown there, but I don't want Khabib to miss... I know he doesn't confuse this, but there is a bit recently where Khabib has not been as urgent for the takedown as he once was in his career, and I hope that that isn't a newfound confidence in his stand-up since the Al Iaquinta fight. I really do hope that, because if Khabib comes out there and says, I can stand up now, I stood up with McGregor in the third, I stood up with Dustin Poirier a bit in that fight, I stood up with Al Iaquinta in some rounds for 4 rounds. If Khabib comes out there thinking that, could be a long night for him and he could get chinned immediately by Gaethje, because that can happen. And if Gaethje knows that Khabib's going to stand there with him, he is going to go for that first round KO. I just don't see a game plan for Gaethje that doesn't have severe consequences. I hope you guys understand that. It's not that I'm saying that Gaethje's worse. In the wrestling, I would say that he is. Even though Gaethje's a great wrestler, I don't think he's going to be better than Khabib. I really don't. I think if Khabib commits to 100 takedowns, he gets one of them. I think if Khabib commits to 10 takedowns, he gets one of them. You know, like, at least, I would say, even if you have got great takedown defense, the best wrestlers in MMA get taken down at some point, and they have to find their way back up. Colby Covington is a much better wrestler than RDA. RDA was able to shoot and get him down. Those things can happen, even if you have great takedown defense and all of the credentials in wrestling that Colby Covington has. It's MMA, it's random, no one knows what's going to happen. I think Khabib, with that random factor, and it not just being a straight wrestling fight, is going to be able to get Justin Gaethje down. And I think he's maybe going to submit him. I don't think he's going to go for a TKO. I think he's going to take him down and say, okay, there's a reason why this guy doesn't want to be on his back so much. There's no way Justin Gaethje is a wizard off of his back with triangles. And if there is that way, and he is a wizard off of his back, I'm not willing to bet on that. I'm willing to bet on Khabib gets him down once at least once, grapples only in the first round. Not only in the first round, but only grapples in the first round was a better direction of words there. Order of words. I'm fucking up a lot here. But Khabib gets him down at once in the first round, and that might be all he needs, because Khabib can immediately go for the back. He's got a great submission game, and I think we could see an early submission from Khabib against Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje is very dangerous, but the game plan of Khabib remains the same. I think that has been said now. You know, like, there's a lot of guys, well, what about this style against Khabib? He's going to do the same thing again. What about this style versus Khabib? If he can't stop all of the takedowns in the first round, he's going to do the same thing again. Like, I'm very aware of me doing this myself. I picked Poirier to beat Khabib. I was going to pick Ferguson to beat Khabib. I still think Ferguson has a better chance of beating Khabib than Justin Gaethje. That still stands in my opinion. Regardless if Justin Gaethje just beat Tony Ferguson, I still think Ferguson would have had a better chance if Ferguson immediately fought Khabib. Maybe not after the damage he just took. Who knows? Maybe that changes things up a bit, but I think that before the Gaethje fight, Ferguson would have a better chance against Khabib than Gaethje would. I don't see a pathway to success for Gaethje without immense consequences if it doesn't work. I know Khabib's takedowns will work against Gaethje, even if it's not 100% of them. Even if it's just, you stuff this one, but I'm still against you on the cage. You stuff that one, but I'm still here in the clinch with you. You stuff this one, and now I'm completely out of range of anything you wanted to until I decide to shoot again way out in the open and go for your leg like he did against McGregor. Like, Khabib can shoot from a very far way away. Very far. Like, he doesn't have to be in range. Chael Sonnen always says, to get a takedown on your opponent, I've heard him say this a lot about wrestling. If you want to get a takedown on your opponent, you have to first be able to touch them from where you are. Khabib does not. He can shoot from the outsider, and just if he can get a hold of that foot, just a grab of your foot from nowhere, maybe Gaethje throws a leg kick, who knows? If he can just get a hold of that foot, he's going to stick to you. And when he sticks to you, and he's got that grip strength, how many takedowns can you stuff? Because this isn't wrestling. We realise that more and more and more with MMA. Khabib's not going to be going for only double legs. That's not Khabib's takedown. Gaethje has great wrestling defense against single legs, double legs, high crotch singles, whatever you want to fucking name it, body lock sweeps. Like, he's got those down. Gaethje has great takedown defense for those, I'm sure. But in MMA, what if Khabib's on his back, standing? You know, what if Khabib's got him against a cage and is just dragging him? Like, it's not normal wrestling takedowns. I just think Khabib has no consequences to his game plan. And I'm going to pick him based on that. Justin Gaethje has a very good chance of cracking him. There's a start of every round where Khabib's going to be on the feet. But Khabib knows that now. He knows it before. He knows it even more now that he realises that Justin Gaethje is elite level. He knows it. And he saw it. No comment. I'm ready for Justin Gaethje. It's good to have a hungry lion breathing down your neck is what he said. I think Khabib beats Gaethje based on the fact that there is no clear game plan for Gaethje without severe consequences. If he goes out there looking for the finish early, he might blow himself out. He might get taken down overthrowing shots, and it could immediately backfire for him. And now he's spent all of his energy, and Khabib's got more rounds to do work to him. If Justin Gaethje goes out there and tries to be patient, he might give Khabib too much space for Khabib just to go for a takedown and get him down. I'm losing my voice. But either way, there is no game plan for Gaethje without severe consequences. There is for Khabib. He will get Gaethje down. However many times it takes him, he will focus on getting Gaethje down. And once he does get Gaethje down, there's no consequences. there would be against Ferguson maybe. But against Gaethje, if he can even smother one single scramble out of 50 that they have in a fight and just stick to Gaethje like glue, it's going to be problems. Because I don't know how good Gaethje's game is off his back jiu-jitsu wise. And if he can't create that space immediately and use the momentum of Khabib moving on top of him, which is what a lot of guys use in their scrambles, once you're still for a second on the ground, you can no longer generate that force to get you back to your feet like you once could. And if Khabib can even stick him there long enough, even with just a bit of wrist control, keep him to the canvas long enough, I think he's going to immediately submit him. Not immediately, but within the round that he keeps him on the ground. I would actually bet that Khabib submits Justin Gaethje in round 2. Maybe late round 1. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. And if Khabib wins that, Khabib's already considered kind of the GOAT because he's matched the title defenses, I believe. Or maybe he's one away from matching the title defenses. But if he does win this one, he's going to beat the title defenses. And it's going to be pretty difficult to call Khabib not the GOAT. Because he will be. If he wins this one, he's a lightweight GOAT. And there's no controversy. He already is the lightweight GOAT, maybe. Now Ferguson's lost to Gaethje. That's a real good argument. But this time it will be undeniable if he beats Justin Gaethje. Especially because Gaethje just beat Ferguson. Did Khabib's work for him? Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Ali Abdelaziz is about to get paid ridiculous amounts of money. Despite him... We're not even going to talk about Ali Abdelaziz. He was hired by the CIA to investigate a terrorist group and he got pulled away by the CIA and almost got... Oh, I just shifted off the camera. It's never happened before. He was hired by the CIA. We're never going to talk about it, man. He was pulled off the mission because he was getting too close with the terrorists and they thought he was switching sides. Now he's making millions. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. He could be responsible for millions of deaths. Goodbye. Thank you for watching. Click that button now. See ya.